Games release all the time, and lots of them are buggy, broken, or censored, and unfortunately, fighting games over the years have faced some major issues, and that is the case again today because Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising is seemingly censoring Pantsu. I have a few different things that I want to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or via YouTube memberships. So I wanted to start off with this Niche Gamer article. It says Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising, a sequel to fighting game Granblue Fantasy Versus, is allegedly censoring pantsu of female characters by replacing them with black voids. Now, if you know anything about video game censorship, it is always the black fog of death or the black void of death. This has happened in so many games by lazy developers who decide, you know what, we need to tone down this game a little bit. What's the best way? The black void or the black mist. This has happened with so many titles, most specifically, and the ones I'm sure you all are going to remember the most are some Atelier games. They will add this black void to hide some of the upskirt shots, and that is seemingly happening in Versus Rising because it says the game contains a photo mode that allows players to rotate character models and see them from all angles, and a video made its way online revealing that the female characters have black voids where their exposed pantsu used to be. Now, of course, this is a fighting game where you are beating other characters up, so you would think, well, there's violence in this game. A little bit of upskirt shot would not be the end of the world, but it seemingly is. Now, it seems that the censorship is actually only in the photo mode and not the actual gameplay, as there have been another set of tweets with more images released, but this isn't all that shocking because just last year, right around this time, I actually had to talk about Samurai Maiden, and it received many mixed reviews due to not only bad localization, but censorship in the photo mode. You could not look up female characters' skirts, you could not look down their shirts, you could not see any sort of cleavage or really anything revealing because there would be that black void, and this does unfortunately happen, you know, more than I would like it to. Now, this is a T for teen game, but there are many T for T games where you have, you know, the slightly more revealing skins, you have the thicker character models, and yes, there has been, you know, upskirt shots in T for teen games as well. Of course, we, you know, have to accept the fact that this is just the way that a lot of games are nowadays. The gameplay could be fantastic. I know there's so many people who have been very excited for this, and yes, the gameplay might be fantastic, but unfortunately, censorship is something that is a deal breaker for many people, and it should not be the way that things are, even if at this current point in time it is, especially when, you know, it comes to something like Granblue. There have been you know, instances of censorship in this franchise before. Now, as you can see, this is a sequel to Fantasy Versus. This is Versus Rising. And in the original release, there was some censorship, but it says a DLC character had recently been implemented into Versus. This was in 2020, and she can also have her original uncensored outfit unlocked after finishing RPG mode, a deed the developers previously allowed for Zeta and Matera to restore their censored costumes to their former glory. It had said that both the English and Japanese trailers showing off upcoming DLC character had the beauty wearing a slightly more covered up iteration of her outfit, side boob covered up by an extension of the black top underneath her outerwear, but she actually was released and her original uncensored outfit was actually unlockable, which is very good to hear. So they had you know, kind of reverted censorship, but the censorship existed in the first place. So while it is good, they ultimately listened to people and got rid of the censored extensions of her outfit, again, like that black fabric, it was censored in the first place. And this was not just with this character, but with several female characters. Now, one could sit here and say, well, maybe they actually will listen to us now and remove this censored photo mode, but I really wouldn't hold my breath for it, because, even though this did happen in 2020 and they did end up, reverting the censorship, how many times do we actually hear about developers reverting censorship? Like, that is actually a rare exception, and that is not something that typically happens. Now, maybe they will listen in this case and they will actually revert this, but I wouldn't hold my breath for it. And of course, I've heard people complain before that are like, oh, it's not censorship. Panty shots are just weird, but panty shots are part of fan service, have always been part of these franchises, have always been part of anime, and are they really that different than having a character in a bikini or characters in fighting games that have little to no clothing on? Of course not. We're not talking about actually showing nudity here, so this is just something that's part of these types of games, and it's content that people enjoy, just like when you see a character in a bathing suit. Are we gonna censor all of the bathing suits out of Grand Theft Auto? No, because that would be ridiculous. And as I mentioned, this is not a new occurrence, so of course this happened most recently in Atelier Resleriana. The pantsu were covered by a black void. It was observed by an individual who is a fan of the undercarriage of anime girls, and it was posted revealing what is underneath the game's female characters, and of course it was this black void of death. And this also happened a few years ago in Fairy Tail. The panty shots were censored on all platforms after the day one update, and they had, hidden this, and they really didn't want people to notice this, so they didn't show a lot of these shots in the teasers and the trailers, also in Resleriana as well. So unfortunately, this is just something that has happened with quite a few video games over the years, and some people are suggesting that this is because of the IARC ratings. People were talking about this on social media, saying could be because of Zero, but I don't get why they don't just accept the higher age rating. I went to check, and it seems that the IARC has been adopted in Japan too, meaning it was automatically rated based on a questionnaire and not manually reviewed by Zero, which was an option since it's a digital only release. Relink on the Hand, which is a game I am actually very excited for, has a Zero rating. So we do not know at this point why exactly this happened, but it does appear that yes, it is because of the IARC rating, or the IARC rating, and because it was just rated based on a questionnaire and not by somebody at Zero looking, sitting through, actually sifting through the content that was in this game. We could get some kind of clarification from the developers about this, but I highly doubt it. They're probably just viewing it as it is what it is. The upskirt shots had to be censored in order for their game to get this rating, in order for their game to release, and they probably do not care all that much. Unfortunately, the black void of death is something that has become extremely common in a lot of games that do, yes, have some fan service, and unfortunately, Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising is censoring the pantsu shots. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.